We'll start with number 1 over on page 101. And really, this one's pretty simple. We talked a little bit already about this. If we take the word yod and we put it in a construct chain and we make it thing 1 in a construct chain, that is a long A. And before I put it in a construct chain, it is tonic and it's closed, right? It's tonic and it's closed. It's stressed and it's a closed syllable. And it can have a long A. But when I put it in a construct chain, it remains closed. But what happens to its stress? Remember, construct nouns lose their stress. So now what kind of a syllable is yod? Yeah, here we'll go ahead and put Moshe here for the absolute. All right, so this is tonic, this is pretonic, this is closed and propertonic, which means it's closed and unaccented, right? The cuss rule has to apply here. Closed, unaccented syllables require what kind of vowel? A short. So a kametz is a long A. What do I need? I need a short A, and that's going to be a pathak, right? So that's why Yad Moshe looks like that. Okay? That's easy enough. Let's look at the next sort of thing that can happen, okay? Let's take the word davar. Davar. Now this is the absolute, which is the normal form. If I were to divide this into syllables, I would divide it right here, davar. Where's the tone? First or second syllable? Second. And da is pretonic, right? Is var open or closed? Closed. And da is open. Okay. Now, let's say that I now want to put this into a construct chain, and this becomes thing 1, and this becomes thing 2, Moshe. What's going to happen? Going to lose the stress here. Does the singular form of the var need to change an ending? No, because there's no ending to change, right? So endings change, if applicable, but here there's no change to make. And then vowels can change. Moshe, tonic, pretonic. The var is losing its stress when it becomes a construct chain. And so this is still closed, but it's no longer tonic. It is what? Tonic, pretonic, propertonic. We're treating this all as one. We're treating it like one long word. Okay? So it's now propertonic, and this is open and propertonic. So what's going to happen to my vowel pointing? Closed, unaccented syllables have to do what? They have to become short. So that becomes davar with a pathak. Because I had a long A vowel, I got to go short. What happens to the open propertonic syllable? It's got to reduce to vocal shava. So it becomes davar. Okay? Now once I've done that, can I leave my dividing line here? No, because I can't divide vocal shavas from the rest of the word, right? So once that happens, I would not be able to divide that. That dividing line is there before we have done the reductions. So that is the way we're going to see davar in the masculine singular construct. Davar Moshe. Not davar Moshe, but davar Moshe. I'm going to have vowel reduction if the vowels are changeable. And kamet and pathak and those sorts of vowels are changeable vowels. Okay, they're not historically long. So that's the sort of things that we're going to see happen quite frequently. Let's take another word. Let's take a word like navi. Navi. All right? That is the absolute form. What would have to happen to this to turn it into the construct masculine form? Well, do I need to change any endings? No, because there's no ending to change. What would happen to this long A vowel once it's thing one in a construct chain? It's going to end up being open and propertonic, right? So it's going to reduce the vocal shava. So it's going to become navi instead of navi. Do I have to change the Keurig yod? Nope, because it's unchangeable, right? It's a historically long vowel. So I won't touch it. But this one will reduce the vocal shava. So if I want to say a prophet, it's navi, long A. If I want to say the prophet of God, it would be navi Elohim. Navi Elohim. All right. I'm going to skip number 3 here for just a moment. It talks about how to make elder construct. Let's go to the 4th one here. So this was number 1. This is number 2 on page 101. Number 3 is a rather unusual one, so we don't really need to worry about that one. Let's look at number 4. Okay. In this situation, we have the diphthongs. And if you remember, we told you that the AW diphthong in Hebrew, which is the long A followed by a Vav, can become a Holam Vav. And the AY diphthong can become a seriod. Examples, we have the word tavich in Hebrew, midst. Remember what that became in certain conditions? If I wanted to say in the midst of something, it became toch. Bayit can become bait, where I get a serei yod instead of the pathak yod. All right. So I told you back then, you don't really know why this happens, just know that it happens. Well, here in this chapter, we understand why it happens and when it happens. When do these diphthongs contract to these historically long vowels? They happen when the diphthongs become unstressed. And where do the diphthongs become unstressed? When they occur in construct chains, when they're thing one, when they're the construct noun. Okay? So, if I want to talk about a house, the absolute would be bayit. But if I want to put this in a construct chain and make it something like the house of bread, which was the name of a city in Jerusalem, then bayit is now thing one in a construct chain. It's going to lose its stress. And what form will bayit now take? It becomes beit. So the way to say house of bread in Hebrew is Beit Lechem. Beit Lechem. And that is the name Bethlehem that you know, right? Beit Lechem. Beit Lechem. The accent's going to be over here. Okay? If I want to talk about death, like, do we really have to? Yes. Hebrew is a violent language. The word for death is mavith, like this, mavith. But if I want to talk about the death of Moses, mavith Moshe, thing one, thing two, can't stay like this. What will mavith become? Mavith becomes mot. Okay? Becomes a holam vav when it becomes unstressed. Mot Moshe, the death of Moses. Okay? So diphthongs will contract when they lose their stress. All right. Let's look at number 5 here. Go to page 102. The fifth sort of example are situations where we have secondary vowel changes. This is what I've been referring to as the red writer problem. So let's take the word buracha. Okay, do you remember the word buracha? Is that one we've learned before? It's the word blessing. You know blessing? Buracha? Buracha. Okay, what kind of shava is this on under the bet? That's a vocal shava. All right, now, I want to say the blessing of Moses. Okay, I want to make this thing one in a construct chain. Right now, buracha in the absolute, this is tonic, this is pre-tonic and open, and the b is just the vocal shava. Okay, now that I put it in a construct chain, Moshe, tonic, pre-tonic. What's going to happen to the ending here now that it's construct chain? Buracha becomes bura, what? What does kamate become? It becomes at, right? Burakat. Okay. Is it tonic anymore? No. So I'm going to have some vowel changes here as well. It's now what? Propertonic. And it's closed, right? So that means that it has to be short. Notice that I've already put a short pathak here because I'm anticipating that the stress is going to be gone. This is now open and propertonic, and it's going to reduce to what? Vocal shava. And now what am I left with? I'm left with a red writer situation, right? So what's going to happen here? The second vocal shava shoots out one of the eyes of the first, and this shava becomes silent about it. Okay. And I'm left with birkat. So the word buracha has undergone changes to the ending and to the internal voweling to form birkat. I always think of a beer cat, like a cat that drinks beer. Birkat. So birkat Moshe is the blessing of Moses. Okay? So once we reduced the vowels, we had red writer problem. We had to resolve that as well. Okay? So you're seeing several different aspects of what we've learned coming together all in the same place now. Okay, let's take a look at anashim real quickly. Anashim. What does anashim mean? It means men. Very good. Anashim is men. Okay, so in the absolute, the word for men is anashim. That's tonic, pre-tonic, and open. If I want to put it in the construct chain and make it a construct noun, does the ending have to change here? Yes, if I want to say the men of the city, for example, the men of the city, ha'ir, im becomes what? A. It becomes Canadian, right? A. It's Canadian, eh? All right, so it becomes sereyod. Im becomes sereyod. And is it going to be tonic over here? Nope. Ha'ir. Tonic, pre-tonic. This is now propertonic. It happens to be open and propertonic. Can I reduce that to a vocal shava? No, because sereyod is a historically long vowel, and I do not reduce those, right? They're unchangeable. But na is open and propertonic, and it will reduce to what? It'll reduce to a vocal shava, and now I have a compound shava followed by a vocal shava. Can I leave the two of those like this? No. What will we do? This is a red writer problem. We're going to shoot out both of the eyes, and the pathak will remain, and it will stay right there. So the construct masculine plural is anshe. Say that with me, anshe. Anashim is the absolute masculine plural. Anshe, the men of the city. Construct masculine plural. Okay? Alrighty. Very good. Let's take the word davar. Davar. What does davar mean? It's, yeah, word or thing, right? Word or thing. So let's make it plural. Davar in the plural is de va rim. Remember that? Devarim. Davar, singular, devarim, plural. Okay, where is my stress on this word? It's on really the reem, right? The curriculate and the resh form the core of a syllable, and then I've got my closing consonant. So that's tonic. Va is pre-tonic, and this is closed, and this is open, right? If I were to divide syllables here, I'd divide right there on the right after the va. Deva, reem. All right. Now let's say I want to make it thing one in a construct chain. What am I going to do here? What has to happen to the ending? It's going to change to what? Yes, it becomes Canadian. Im becomes a. Sere, yod. Okay, good. And when it becomes thing one, thing two is going to take the stress, right? The accent's going to be surrendered to the second word. So if Moshe is our word here, the tone is now over here. We're going to treat this as one long word. Tonic syllables in the back, pre-tonic syllables here. This is now no longer closed. It's open, and it's no longer tonic because it's lost its stress. It's proper tonic. Now, what does Hebrew usually do with open proper tonic syllables? They reduce to what? Vocal shava. Can I reduce the sere yod to a vocal shava? No. Two problems with it. Number one, if I reduce that to a vocal shava, then I've obscured the whole purpose of the Canadian ending to tell you that's masculine plural construct, right? The second reason I can't do this is because this is historically long. And what do we know about historically long vowels? They are unchangeably long. That's right. So we're going to leave that right there. But now this open and pretonic syllable formerly is now open and propertonic. And what will happen to it? It will reduce to vocal shava because that's not a historically long vowel, so it is changeable, isn't it? So now I have one slight little problem when I have a vocal shava here next to this thing, which is also a vocal shava. This is a Red Rider problem. How are we going to resolve it? Shoot out an eye, and then this shava becomes silent. So now I have divrei, not divarim, divrei Moshe. Say that with me. Divrei Moshe. How would I translate this? We want to use of in between these if it's a construct chain. So the words of Moses. The words of Moses. All right, very good. So that's the matter of seeing Red Rider problems that are compounded upon vowel change issues that happen. Okay, let's look at number 6 in the textbook. And again, this is page 102. The sixth sort of change that we have is when we're dealing with Segolate nouns. Okay, you guys remember what Segolate nouns are? Yes, typically they have double Segol. And what do you know about the stress pattern of Segolate nouns? Yes, in the singular, they are committed to first syllable stress. All right, so let's take the word melech. Okay, is melech a Segolate noun? It most definitely is. First syllable stress and the double Segol pattern. Here's something that you might be surprised by. When I want to say the king of Israel, and I put melech in a construct chain next to the word Yisrael. All right, what do you expect to happen here? I make this thing one, that thing two. What happens to the stress of thing one, the construct chain, the construct noun? Yeah, it gets lost, right? And surrenders it to the second word. except for segolate nouns in the singular. They do not surrender their stress. They are so committed to first syllable stress that even in the construct state, they retain their accent mark. Okay? So, believe it or not, this is the way to say the King of Israel. You use the same form as the absolute, Melech Yisrael. Okay? The absolute and the construct in the singular of segolate nouns are identical to each other. Got it? All right. So if I wanted to say something like the vineyard of Yahweh, the word for vineyard is karam. Is that a segolate noun? It is. And that's the absolute, masculine singular form. And it happens to also be the construct. So I would say karam Yahweh. And that would be the vineyard of Yahweh. Okay? So same form. What about in the plural? Do you remember what happens to segolate nouns when they become plural? Do they still stress the first syllable? They do not. Rather, they pull that stress to the back. So what happens to Melech? After I add the eem, because Melech is masculine, what vowels go under roots 1 and 2? The vocal shava under root 1 and the kametz under root 2. Remember, segolates follow the davar pattern for the plural. Davar becomes devarim. Melech becomes melakim. Okay? Now, that's the absolute form of king. What if I want to talk about the kings of Israel? This will have to become the construct form, right? So, what's going to happen to eem? Can I leave eem the way it is in the construct? No. Eem is one of those endings that has to change. What does eem become? Yes, becomes Canadian. Changes its nationality here. So, becomes Sere Yod. All right, good. The stress is going to be way over here, right? We're going to treat this as one long word. So this is tonic, this is pretonic, this is propertonic, and everything over here is propertonic, right? Is this open and propertonic? Yes. This cough is also open and propertonic, right? Can I reduce that to a vocal shava? No. Could I reduce that to a vocal shava? Yes. And that's going to leave me 2 vocal shavas here, right? Can't do that. So this is going to have to resolve itself. Now here's what happens with segolate nouns. The segolate noun is going to have to change this to a short vowel. What vowel would you expect that to become? You would normally expect it to become a Keurig, right? Because when we have a red rider problem, we shoot out an I and we leave a Keurig there. Okay? But in this case, you're right, Sarah. This is going to become pathak. Okay? It's going to become malke, not milke. Okay? Malke, not milke. So the kings of Israel is malke Yisrael. Why did that A-class vowel show up here instead of the Keurig? The I class? We'll tell you about that in chapter 15. You'll learn all about it, okay? Here's the thing, and this is what you really need to know from this chapter is, I hate to put it this way, but some short vowel shows up here, okay? Which one is it? You won't know until we get to chapter 15. But it'll be a short vowel, okay? So what are my short vowels? Pathak, Segol, right? Keurig, and Kamet Katuf, right? Those are what I'm going to be looking for. Segolates. The real deal is this. Segolate nouns had an original vowel under root 1, and that vowel changed to a segol in many cases, and that segol is obscuring what the real vowel used to be. And it's only in these sorts of forms that the original short vowel comes back and is of the vowel class that segolate noun used to have. And we'll talk a bit more about that when we get to chapter 15. Okay, but that's what segolates do. Now, number 7, the last sort of change that we have, and this is really a very predictable one except for one thing. The word bane. What does bane mean? It means son, right? And if I want to say the son of somebody, I'm going to have 2 slight changes. Now, let's just take a look at the word son here in the absolute, right? Remember, the absolute form is the lexical form. It's the basic form. Is that open or closed? It's closed. Is it tonic, pretonic, or propertonic? It's tonic because it's the only syllable. Therefore, it's the stressed syllable, right? Now, if I want to talk about the son of somebody, then it's going to be something like Bane, and we'll just talk about David's son, since that's an important theme in theology. Bane David. This is now thing 1. David is thing 2, and I want to say the son of David. What's going to happen to the tonic nature of Bane when it was absolute? Now it's in the construct. Will that be tonic anymore? No, it's losing its stress to the second noun, right? So how many syllables are in David? 2. So vid is tonic, and da is pretonic, and bane is propertonic. And is it open or closed? It's closed, and I'm going to have to do what to that serre, which is a long I-class vowel? It's got to shorten, right? The cuss rule demands it. So, what are my short I-class vowels? Keurig and Segol. So guess what? You might see a Keurig here, and you might see a Segol here. Ben David or Ben David. And there's one more thing that can happen and will happen. This little line will connect the 2. What is that called? Makef. Yes. Okay, makef. All right. So Ben or Bane will be written with a makef, and then loss of the stress causes the vowel to become a short vowel. Closed unaccented syllables require a short vowel. All right. So you've heard of bin Laden, haven't you? Okay, that's Arabic for son of Laden. And it's interesting that, that word bin is the same as bin in Hebrew. Okay, so those are the forms.